This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Judges who are corrupt and do not abide by the law are to be fired. A rotting corpse is found in a suitcase. And you will never guess what you can buy on Facebook nowadays. But firstly, our headline story. A very strongly worded statement from the Minister of Justice this week said that he will order the dismissal of any judges who are involved in corruption or misconduct in a bid to reform the judicial system within Cambodia. Speaking at the opening of the annual conference of the Ministry of Justice, Minister Rith said that the public in general holds a very negative view towards the justice system in Cambodia. Addressing over 700 judges attending the conference, Rith said there is a very urgent need to restore the reputation of the country's legal administration. He went even further, admitting there were some bad apples, which he described as a curse on the entire justice system. Now, it is clear that Cambodia's justice system does need urgent reform. According to the World Justice Project, the Rule of Law Index has Cambodia ranked at 141 out of 142 countries. The only country below Cambodia is in fact Venezuela. And it gets worse, as the other indicator, the Civil Justice Index, which measures whether ordinary people can resolve their grievances effectively through the civil justice system, put Cambodia at 142nd place out of 142 nations. And that is a real problem for a country, as those kind of figures do more than concern just citizens. They play a very major role in deterring investors, as investors see a legal system that may well not protect them, protect their businesses or their investments. And with other countries in the region offering more robust legal systems, investors may well be inclined to not come to Cambodia, but place their money in a country that they feel is much safer. On this week's Crime Desk, jolly old Facebook is back in the news, and you'll never guess why. And yet another body is found dumped in a suitcase. Now, these stories turn up with alarming regularity, and that is bodies being found in suitcases dumped by the side of the road. In this instance, there was almost an immediate arrest, and remarkably, the perpetrator was, in fact, a military police officer. The victim himself was an IT worker from Phnom Penh, aged 32. And when the body was examined, it was determined he had been strangled to death. And that is a horrible way to die, as strangulation takes a lot longer than you think. It ain't like it is in the movies. A police officer stated that just days prior to the arrest, a rotting corpse of an unidentified man had been found by a road construction worker in Ko Kong province. The worker was naturally horrified when he opened the discarded suitcase and saw the rotting grey body within. After the discovery, police were assigned to the case, and it was not long before they arrested Lieutenant Colonel So Kum. During police questioning, the suspect actually did admit that he had murdered the victim, and said the reason he carried out this appalling crime was because he was angry with the victim for hacking into his bank accounts and then stealing some of his money. Now, The strange thing about this is the murder was utterly pointless. Because if money is stolen from your bank account, you are not liable. And hence, this lieutenant colonel is going to prison for an awfully long time for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You know that Facebook has a feature called Marketplace, where people buy and sell a wide variety of goods. I, myself, used it to buy a motorcycle only this week for my friend Stinker. You see, Stinker is very poor and had no motorcycle and could not get to school as she lives up a mountain. So on to Facebook Marketplace I went and I got her a motorcycle at a good price. And Stinker can now go to school. Good old Stinker. Now my transaction was all legal and above board, but one woman failed with both those parameters of legality and normality because she quite incredibly used Facebook Marketplace to sell guns. Blimey. Yes, this woman here was arrested for selling guns on Facebook. The authorities were notified by a concerned citizen who had spotted that she was selling lethal weapons to anyone who had the cash. It is worthy of note here that this seems to be Facebook's usual standard of self-regulation, as numerous times people have been arrested for money scams, fake medicines, and even the sale of human organs. Way to go, Facebook. The investigating judge has ordered the detention of the woman on charges of trafficking in weapons, in accordance with the law on weapons, explosives, and ammunition. The woman herself has been named as a 35-year-old, calling herself MMH, and she has now confessed that she did commit the crime, and she now awaits her court date. Do you remember last year the story of the Buddha statue that caused the internet to light up with a storm of controversy? As it was said, it was a very poor replication of Buddha. In fact, some went as far to say the statue was ugly and was stunned that such a creation was allowed to be built. The controversy rolled on for weeks, and in response, the Veil Pagoda chief monk said in a statement, which, by the way, this is my absolute favourite statement of last year, for he said, "The construction of the Buddha statue was done by a craftsman with little knowledge and limited technique." Now, how diplomatic is that? Many agreed that there seemed to be a clear case of limited technique in the design of the statue, and corrections should be made. The pagoda chief heard the calls of the public, and now the statue has been modelled and reshaped. The renovation work commenced in August of last year, and this month it has been completed at a cost of $19,000. Now that is an expensive facelift. But here's the truth. There was a minority who liked the old representation as it was so very different, and it did become famous for its originality. And after all, is beauty not in the eye of the beholder? Here is a multiple choice question to round this show off. You have been out for a couple of drinks one evening and you get pulled over by the police. They wish to administer a breath test. Do you A, comply with the officers and hope you pass? Do you B, Try and talk your way out of the test as you are worried it may be positive. Or do you C, get into a heated argument, refuse to take the test, assault a female officer, and then get into a fight with all the other officers? Well, the correct answer, of course, is A, comply with the test. But that was not the choice a driver made when he was pulled over one evening in Phnom Penh. He opted for C, get into a heated argument and start a fight. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, it did not work out and he was arrested. Now, to make this even worse, on questioning, it was discovered that the drunk driver was in fact a police chief. Oh dear. Now, this incident even got the attention of the Deputy Prime Minister, who stated that everyone who commits illegal acts will be subject to law enforcement. So, way to go, because when the Deputy PM gets involved, you know you are in very hot water indeed. The incident itself took place at 11:30 PM last week when a Range Rover driving erratically was pulled over. The senior police officer stepped from the car and he point blank refused to take a breath test. When the female officer insisted, the driver then forcibly shoved her in the chest, and it was then the fight broke out as all the officers in attendance then tried to restrain the man. He was finally subdued and arrested. The deputy police chief now faces criminal prosecution and will more than likely lose not only his license but also face charges of assault and be retired from the police force. Sometimes in this life, you just need to realize there is no way out. Confess you have done wrong and take your punishment. And you never know, it may not be as bad as you think. Well, for this guy, it certainly could not get any worse. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week. Here we go with the weather. Did you like that little clip of Stinker there? I've known Stinker for about 3-4 years. I met her when I was hunting Pol Pot's secret bunker, and her mother helped me find it. And there was this small child covered from head to toe with dust, didn't even have a pair of shoes, and tragically, and I found terribly sad, she didn't have a single toy. So every time I went past, I'd always take her something. And it's developed into quite the friendship, you see. I pay for all her school fees and everything else, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful I do, because there's nothing greater than seeing her grow and, you know, get on in life. So that's absolutely wonderful. So here's another picture of Stinker on the screen again. There you go. It should make you smile, unlike the weather. God, that was a good link, wasn't it? Which is, hold on, I've got it wrong again. Hang on. Pause. Right, okay, I've got it. Oh, lordy B, there's rain and there's cloud and there's all sorts of stuff. But bear in mind, this rain is jolly fleeting. The humidity's still up at 62%. And as always, there's just a waft of a breeze. This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.